All you need is love. Beep, 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 beep. All you need is love. Beep, 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 beep. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. I love that song. And right now, it's a lucky time. But I am somebody who is channeling and supporting and guiding the 5D mystics. So love begins with yourself and ends with yourself, because you are your love button with the ventral vagal state engaged. And on that note, we have a lot of lovely individuals who have finally achieved their own safe haven, secure base without spirituality stuff or spiritual stuff necessarily. But if they did do any spiritual stuff, most certainly it involves yoga, because that's a ventral vagal nervous system toning exercise portfolio of stuff, and mindfulness stuff. And so they learn how to use the brain. And this is as a functional adult, so they know how to be consistently compassionate. They also know how to move out of their little chit-chatter brain and their defense mechanisms, and not to talk about it like the 4D does, as if you need to have karmic soul contracts and all that other stuff coming around. That's not actually how it works. You're the one who wields your brain, and 5D body types take ownership of themselves. They don't look to others to tell them how to handle their emotions. So when we see in and out behavior and the inability, I'm going to remove that one because sometimes I think it's like the drawings have naked people on it and YouTube might, so we don't want to get that message canceled. But in and out energy is not a bad thing when wielded by the person. However, 4D body types, 3D body types, and again, this is not meant to be organized and there's no empirical data. I'm pseudoscience lady who's a mystic, and at that, this is a type of reading. I do it differently because I don't have a setup. But what I loved about knowing that all my lovely 30% of 5D mystics out there are ready to shine a light, and it's not as a superhero or a supervillain or a rescuer. Because see, that's the whole point. Adaptive children have the energy of thinking they're saving each other from something. There is no, thank goodness for now, invasion from the aliens, hopefully. And, you know, I've always thought, even if there are aliens, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't invade us. But you know how people who are actually afraid live. They are always afraid, so they live strategically thinking that they have to prepare for some war that's not going to be there. And, you know, a lot of people, again, talk about this, again, reclaiming the power. Some of us, we don't lose the power. Okay, so my 5D mystics, the full moon is amazing for the true love of your life, which means your own love. And again, that means a restored and embodied self, integrated brain. It's a really great day to celebrate because we're building a community of functional adults who don't weaponize their words and say, you have to be somebody who says yes to me. So no, the ones who change each other or they want to take care of each other, those are all people who have their thing, moving them to the side, because it's about 70% of humanity who still lives in a specific way with their emotional plane. We have ownership of our emotional plane. It's the energy body. It's amazing. So let's get into that one. As I was saying, love is in the air. Nobody runs away from love. That is a 5D body type. You know why? Because why would we give up the best thing that we could ever do in life? So when we see people that are brought to us, that's why life doesn't send you your partner to the 5D mystic in the Enlightenment Soul Age group. You choose. You choose, meaning, oh, I saw someone. No, they come your way, you hang out, you date, right? All that stuff. I'm 43. It never got more horrible. No, I'm actually solo poly is awesome. And when you meet people who hear you, that's awesome too. So polyamory, never been an issue, even though they didn't have the word way back when. But that's because a self-empowered person, which is where independence comes, knows how to use their words. So unlike codependent individuals who have low emotional intelligence because they've yet to move into functional adult. There's a journey for it. As lovely therapists I learned from state, they have to negotiate with people to keep them coming because it's getting out of hell from their body. But that's a ladder of burning brimstone and fire. So this is where it's really painful for people who are not yet mature emotionally. There's not an emotional intelligence. This is not about intellect. It's actually about practice, because we all have a nervous system. So their nervous system has not had practice being in its ventral vagal state. So when they do yoga or mindfulness or meditation, they're getting to put into practice an aspect of their embodied brain. And without knowing it, that's why they don't move to the next steps. And we see all the ones in the middle 4D, 3D body types, other soul age groups, doing the little group thing. But it's okay. Again, we're not here to tell people what state of consciousness to be in. So the 5D mystics and the 5D functional adults we tap into are infinite higher human consciousness potential experience. That's who I channel for. That's who I guide. That's who we bring together so that the functional adults can actually enjoy this beautiful, beautiful in-depth emotion called LOVE, which you turn on because you're in your ventral vagal state. So 5D is able to stand and sit and continue to remain in what is called a physiological state of compassion, all on their own, because as we interact, we will either co-regulate, which we begin to, but then you can self-regulate. Now this way, it's important to note a 5D body type. I spoke those words on purpose because there's a body type that is immediately going to be knowing it's okay, even if somebody hurt my feelings, meaning I'm sad because I had a misalignment. So they didn't hurt it on purpose, or even if they did, it doesn't matter. What's the common equation? I have hurt feelings. I'm sad. I'm mad. But we don't use the anger chit chatter of the 4D, 3D body type and other soul age group type who basically sit in their head and they actually talk negative talk about people they love because they didn't get what they wanted. Yeah, so we don't do that. So for 5D mystics today, again, full moon, very beautiful because you're finally in a place of what is your true Purusha Prakriti, and you know it. Because embodying unconditional love with flaws and imperfections and your own energy body, again, your nervous system and your brain, which means using left and right mode, very straightforward. When I get charged, I know when I'm getting charged. Never been an issue. The 5D body type doesn't have a tsunami with emotions. Let me again specify. So that's why I am speaking to people who love emotions. All of them. Fear is the most uncomfortable. I admit it. I still don't like it whenever it comes up, and I'm working with it. In fact, recently I actually translated it into a different type of image because I had an image of it at some point. And pause. We'll save the story of fear for later. And really, I think I shared something along the lines of what happened in this moment on one of the episodes. But for my 5D community, what I'm trying to get to about love is that we enter into right now relationships with people who know how to be vulnerable too. 4D, 3D mindsets, they ruminate. There are individuals who do not enter into a physiological state of compassion. There are reasons for it, as mentioned by more than one of the lovely trauma-informed good therapists. People who hurt people can learn to do the work. They can identify their adaptive child, their charge state, and instead of throwing it upon a person who's compassionate, they could do therapy or journal. And so instead of, again, the shower where you're going to vent about something, to understand that venting, it's not about the venting, it's the charge that comes up. So 5D body type, which is that 30% of the energy of our collective that I'm picking up for, that the IHP community is, and we're building it, are functional adult love language people who know how to physiologically, consistently, the insula lights up, the amygdala, the temporal junction, which is where we relate to things from the past, but we move into our prefrontal cortex, our third eye. It's always on. We do neurofeedback without even knowing the word because we use our left, the chatter, and the right is really where the emotions, sensations come up. And we know mind sight, even without having had Daniel Siegel until I did. I know exactly how to share with you through that inner growth mindset. You look at the thoughts, you look at the emotions, you come to the middle, duality, neutrality and duality. So our playground are our loved ones. That's why we love more. Twin flames, soulmates, anything love related for a 5D person, it's easy peasy. We don't do human suffering. Sadness is an emotion. We have a relationship with it. Again, we have a relationship with the basic emotions, and that's from the depth of our core, which is why Krishna Lila, exploring the depths of the profound, of seriousness with playfulness. It's because we're in our ventral vagal state. Forgot to note that. When you're in a physiological state of compassion, all of those who know about the polyvagal theory, good trauma-informed information, somatic, will know about how our body is in its ventral vagal nervous system engagement. You can only be in a state of love if you feel safe. So you and I together regulate in safe haven, secure base, and that's what relationships, 5D mystics, functional adults build, and we are looking to that right now, to deepen those connections that are finally independent because they too have achieved their wholeness. They've realized they're worthy and that unresolved trauma can be discussed, and so we get to talk about these things and grow up together, be compassionate, be kind, be loving, Remember, every body has its own journey and mine, and it's the person that gets to choose. You choose you, they choose them.